Okay, why don't we just start with your name and what company you run, and we'll kind of start from there.
My name is Angela Stanford. I am the founder and CEO of Vital Nutrition and Wellness. We're a company that helps people look at the way that they're eating and their lifestyle habits and help them align them with helping them to look and feel better.
Yeah. So what got you into doing that?
Well, if we go all the way back, I guess it started with I've always had a love for food.
Yeah.
I had a love for food. Grew up on a farm in Illinois.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm in Illinois. And I can remember as far back, 10 or 12 years old in the kitchen with mom asking to help. What can I do? What can I be a part of? And that migrated into being in 4-H. So I was in
nice.
4-H and had all the food projects. And I remember my first cookbook was You Learn to Bake, the first little project that I had to take to the fair. And from there, that led into fair and state fair, and then in high school, the partner for FFA is FHA, Future Homemakers of America, and again there was a food theme there, which led into college where I thought it would be so exciting to do something in the way of health. My mother and aunts and some cousins are nurses, and nursing wasn't for me, but I thought health, I wanted to be somewhere with health and food, and thought wouldn't it be cool to be one of those food people that are in the labs, that are creating new food products for craft or something like that. Food scientist.
Yeah.
And then when I was in college, I found out that major required a lot of math.
The dreaded math.
Yeah, the dreaded math.
Yeah.
And I'm a science gal, so I sort of veered off into a direction of nutrition and dietetics, and love the fact that I could also, still play with food, be in food service arena, also look at the, chemistry, biochemistry, still play with food, eat food, love food. And so that was where my degree is in nutrition, and from there, it just went on from there.
So did you start it over there in Illinois?
So my actual practice, my private practice, I started in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was after having an untraditional sort of route. After becoming a dietitian, my first job out of college was actually implementing computer software systems in food service.
Oh.
So because I had a food service background, I worked in trying to get experience in nutrition. I worked in hospital kitchens in college as well, as a diet tech and things like that. So that was prime time for me to be combining. I was able to combine with an opportunity to work speaking as a dietitian to other dietitians in food service about how to go from pen and paper on tallying food and things like that and nutrition needs to making that all automated. So a little untraditional route that way. And along the way, I always was giving out. Everyone always stops and asks you whether you're in the grocery store or a friend of a friend are always asking you when they find out that you're a nutritionist, dietitian, about their health and their eating.
Yeah.
And so there was a point after graduate school and working in sort of the marketing area of food that I decided to, step back into something that I knew would be more meaningful, and that was the one-on-one interaction with people on helping them make a significant change in their health by what they put on the end of their fork.
So, but that probably was that a big change for you, like versus like working in the kitchen with the hospital for large groups of people, right? Versus like an individual basis. Did you have to kind of like change a little bit as far as like your mindset or like your approach maybe? Because you're like, maybe this, for an individual case, you're like, maybe this food is not good for this individual, right? Versus like you have to, for the hospital, it's a whole bunch of people.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And there's only so many sort of diets for them, right? Right. Exactly. So along this whole time that I was making sort of this transition, I still had one-off clients that I was helping here and there. So
Oh, okay.
I had that sort of happening in the background. I just wasn't really getting paid for it.
Sure.
You know, it's just kind of happening in the background. And so that's when I sort of wanted to formalize it. But to answer your question, yes, absolutely. That is the basis of what I do is personalized nutrition, because
Right.
everybody's body is different.
Yeah,
and
totally.
so really, I also have a lot of couples or mother-daughters that want to work with me and they want to do it together. Do I offer them a package deal kind of thing? Well, sure. I offer sort of a friends and family discount because of the fact there's two of them, but helping them understand that they're not both in session together all the time,
Yeah, right.
because their motivations are very, very different. And that is, motivation is like the underpinning of how goals actually get met, how the
Right.
change happens. So.
Exactly. Right. So you start doing that, and you're out here then. I'm assuming like 2010, right?
So I missed a little bit of a blip there,
Yeah.
where I lived in Australia for 3 years.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
So I the job that I was working for in New York took me over to Australia to help the New South Wales Health Department implement these systems in their food service in hospitals as well, from the small hospital to the large university hospital, so to speak. So allowed me a great opportunity
Yeah, that sounds fun.
in my 20s to go travel around and see and explore and learn. And so that was great. Came back to the States in the mid 90s, which was the great, we got tech and nutrition and fitness all happening. So the West Coast was the place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was it different? Just kind of backing up a little bit. How is it different? Your job, or I guess your approach, in being in New York versus being in Australia. Was it a big difference, or was it like, oh, there's certain things you can't get, or their food culture is a little different than obviously America, and it seems like everything that we get here, like meat and stuff, comes from there. Like you can only get elk from Australia, and you're like, why is that? Like it's just Australia, but
Right.
you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So basically, my question is like, how was it any different, or was it like pretty easy transferring into the Australian, culture?
It was pretty easy transfer. I think the greatest ease of that, of course, is there isn't the language barrier.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And then they were just very welcoming and open, and I have a sense of adventure, so being able to try anything and everything under the sun as well, eating wise and experience wise, was great. And they don't eat much differently than us. When I was there, there was a movement of eating off the land like we do.
Yeah.
And there were also the convenience foods that were there as well. So there was a bit of both. And in the cities, just like here, versus cities, and they have cities and rural areas as well. So they have different demographics and different, influence of culture in different cultures, especially on the Pacific Rim, that would influence the way that people ate or the restaurant offerings and things like that, just like we have here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very similar challenges as well with, in relationship to nutrition, with a lot of the convenience, the fast-paced living was coming their way as well. I did notice that when I moved from the States over there that things slowed down a little bit, but as I was living there, that pace sort of picked up as well.
And then how have you kind of seen like the food like traditions, or nutrition, I guess would be the better word, over the years, because you've been in it a while. So, and it seems like there's all kinds of new fads coming out, like the carnivore diet or the vegan diet, and I'm not saying they're good or bad. It's just there's all kinds of things. And for me, myself, always trying to be a little healthier, it's hard to kind of navigate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, where do I begin? Like, obviously, you have like your overall rules, like less sugar and alcohol, all that stuff, but then like kind of really honing it in. How have you seen it change, like since the 90s? It's just more fads, or
No, I think there's just a prevalence and an awareness of there's always a new diet out there.
Yeah.
There's always a new diet out there. And when I'm working with my clients one-on-one, it's helping them to understand the premise of many of those diets do have an underpinning of things that are common.
Yeah.
Most of them are really looking at trying to eat as close to the earth as possible, close to its natural source, whether or not it be, growing from the earth, roaming the earth, or swimming in the sea.
Yeah.
Right. So trying to get the common ground there. And then looking at their individual health goals. What are their individual health goals? Some people come in looking at how they're going to lose weight, for example, and they're looking at when the keto diet was really, was really big.
Yeah.
And coming in and looking at how they're going to lose weight. And over and over again, I would see husband and wives want to do this together, and keto in particularly is a diet that I've seen work much better in the male population than it does with women.
Okay.
There's just a different makeup. There's a different makeup to them. But that said, in your question about diets in general, I'm really not a fan of that word as well. I don't think that anyone should be on or off of a diet.
Yeah.
It's really looking at coming in with their baseline on where they're at, what their goals are, and then helping them get to it. Because people want to come in and they want to lose weight and they're vegan, or they want to come in and they lose weight and they really have digestive issues and really need to work more on balances of animal protein that work better for them. There's a lot of different nuances that need to happen. And there's a lot of ways to get to that end result.
Yeah, exactly. And so are you having, like for that example, are you having to do a lot of, I guess, educating, being like, hey, maybe, the diet you're on, or maybe this diet you think, or, and having to kind of guide them in a nice way, kind of, but steer them away from, I guess it's more of like maybe a mindset too, like eating all protein or eating, vegan. It's definitely like more of a mindset too, You're like, I just want to eat animal protein, or I just want to eat,
Yeah, and a lot of people come from, their diet is very cultural, or it's sometimes religious based as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so you need to take all of those considerations in. Some people are eating, and some people change their eating or are willing to if it's going to help their health. So getting to understand that, is it a religious preference? Is it just a preference? Is it, what are your goals are, and where do you want to go with that? And so, yes, guiding happens a lot, and offering them up the science and my experience on how they're going to best be able to get there. But I also, as a dietitian, I'm also a board certified health and wellness coach, and those combined, the coaching aspect of helping them be in the driver's seat of making those decisions is really important. It's not just me telling them, it's them. It's helping give them the information on what steps do they want to take to get towards their goals.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I could see definitely culturally, in some cultures, it would be difficult to completely overhaul their diet just because of their traditions, and their, they have family over and they're having, whatever they have culturally. Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, how do I kind of navigate that? Especially as we're coming into the holidays, like there's all kinds of stuff being cooked, and probably not the best things to eat, Okay. So why don't you take me through, your process as far as, you get a new client in, and what's your first step as far as, helping them?
So people find me in various ways. Some find me by, 2 a.m. in the morning, they're typing in nutritionist near me on a Google search. They can find me through a referral from a friend or someone that they've met, or they've somehow they've gotten to my website. So they find me in those ways, and or a phone or what have you, or on Instagram. But they come to me, and the first thing that we do is schedule what we call a discovery call, which is a complimentary call where we get on the phone together to see if we're a good fit. Because it's really important that, I believe it's very important that the person that you're working with is someone that you can build trust with, because oftentimes the underlying reasons why you're wanting to make change are there's an emotional component. You're divulging a lot of information, personal information about yourself and your family and your work situation and things like that, and you really want that fit, okay? And also to help them understand this isn't sort of like you go to the doctor and you're there for 15, 30 minutes and then I send you off. It's a process that we'll be working together for a period of time.
Yeah.
And so what that looks like.
It's definitely a commitment.
It's a commitment, yeah, because we're working not only what you're putting on the end of your fork, but we're working with the behaviors around it.
Yeah.
So that I'm hopefully your last stop. Because a lot of people come to me very distraught because they've tried a lot of different programs, diets, doctors, other healthcare professionals, and their problem hasn't been resolved.
Yeah.
And so when they come to me, I want to make sure that, it's a good fit. I can help them with what they're looking for, and they're going to be successful so that they don't, like I said, I'm their last stop.
Right. Yeah, because I've had a lot of experiences with that. I'm like, I don't. I mean, people have give me advice or tell me what to do, but yeah, I don't know if like you said, I don't know if the issues were addressed. And sometimes they say they're going to address the issues, and they give me something that I'm like, well, why are we doing this? And the why, I mean, I'm in healthcare too, so it's like, and me and my wife are both very, science backed. And I'm like, well, where's the studies for this? I can't just take, a $50 Chinese herb and it's like, well, why? I'm happy to spend the money actually, but it's like, why are we doing this? Even especially because I haven't heard of it.
Right.
You're like, I've never heard of this thing, and maybe that's a good thing, and maybe that's a bad thing. But you need to kind of, and a lot of them, I don't know if they're making money off the back end off of that or something, but it's kind of discouraging because you're like, I spent all this time, I went to a couple sessions, and she's like, here, take this Chinese herb. And I'm like, okay, but this is like almost $200 worth of supplements. Are we really getting at what we need to be getting at? And no really explanation. So I'm like, and I think that's an experience for a lot of people out there. So it's kind of hard to, A, pin down what you need to do, and B, find somebody good that's going to walk you through it. Because I would like somebody like, hey, grab me and be like, hey, this is what you need to do kind of thing, based off of what we find, if there's any testing to be had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, when people come to me, they're oftentimes they're at wit's end. Like they're still not feeling good. They've spent a lot of money already. Yes. And so, talking them through that on that call about, sort of what the roadmap looks like, but also helping them understand that it's more than just what you put on the end of your fork. So we absolutely talk about that. Yeah. But my program is 5-pillar, which means it's got, what you put on your end of your fork, the nutrition, the supplementation as needed. I'm a very food first person. And then the mindful eating piece, how, why, when, where you're eating, because knowing those and in your environment helps you with breaking sort of bad habits, old habits, emotional habits, and making new ones. Looking at your sleep, because sleep and it's restorative, having as much restorative sleep helps you with making these changes stick, having the motivation and energy to do so because you're sleeping well. Looking at your exercise, are you doing the right type of exercise for you and your goals and your age bracket and your maybe chronic illnesses, like, what's going on, so we can make sure that you can get that done. And the last one, which is very important for the majority of the people that I work with, is stress diffusion. Because, you can do all those other things really well, but if you haven't addressed that, you're going to unravel the good work you've done in the other areas.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So that's something that it's a very integrative, comprehensive approach. Looking at it clinically, of course, when they come to me, I'm looking at their labs, I'm looking at the supplements and medicines they're currently taking, what they're, logging and having, what their current food pattern is. but then also looking at those other areas and then giving them support and tools so that they can have, it's a very holistic, integrated lifestyle change program rather than just here's what you need to be eating and here's handful of supplements, go take those as well.
Yeah, right. And like for the testing, I mean, it probably changes for people, but are you able to do things that, a lot of the doctors around here don't? Like, I know I have, like, I don't want to divulge too much, but just like as far as digestive issues, I felt like, for the testing, they did test my blood and all that stuff, but I was like, you're missing all of these things that I need to be looked at. And they're like, well, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, so I'm curious if, like, are you able to do all those testings and stuff like that on your end? And,
Absolutely. So we can start with whatever tests have already been done.
Yeah.
And then I have access to, I have a micronutrient test that is very comprehensive and not only looks at, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fructose sensitivity, immune system. So there's that so that we can look at it's actually at the cellular level. So when you're going to the doctor, you're getting your Chem-Bental and your CBC and
Yeah, exactly.
your blood sugar and things and cholesterol. You're getting that done through a blood draw, through the lipid, through blood, snapshot of what's happening right now. Well, this micronutrient test is cultured out, and so we know what's actually getting into the cells. So what's actually there on all those levels. And similarly for the digestive issues, or there could be other issues like energy or sleep patterns. We have an allergy test. So 190 foods that we can look at from allergies and sensitivities to see where that lands, and also some stool testing. There are, so I have those that we can dive into should we need to after looking at the first level of getting to know your diet. And I don't like to dive right into those at the beginning because oftentimes we can figure that out by looking at what you're eating and your current lifestyle habits are currently. But then when we need to go the extra level, we have those tests at our disposal. And I do that really from a practicality perspective because, again, everybody has come to me and they've spent a lot of money before they got to me.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
so
I don't want to all of a sudden, because these tests aren't inexpensive.
Right.
So I want to make sure that they're warranted before we just dive into it.
Gotcha. But yeah, you have all those things at your fingertips to execute. So I wanted to know, what is the difference between like what you do and like say it like a naturopath or like, something like that? Because I'm sure something overlaps a little bit, right? But what would be the difference? Obviously you have a lot more that you're doing on your end for sleep. I don't think anybody that I've seen was for sleep or exercise. It was strictly, supplements and diet,
Yeah. So, first of all, there's a reason why I when I started my company, I called it Vital Nutrition and Wellness because of the fact that if a lot of people need help with nutrition for vitality, but the and wellness wraps things around, like I mentioned, so they can you can really be elevated to feel very vital. I guess that's the word. To answer your question about the difference between a naturopath and a dietitian or nutritionist like myself, and I shouldn't say I am a dietitian nutritionist, which is different than a nutritionist itself. So clarifying that first is that a dietitian is someone who's got an undergraduate and a graduate degree in nutrition, and then does an internship at a hospital or other medical institution, similar to a doctor does a residency. And then we sit a national exam, and then we do continuing education every year to keep current with the science. And then nutritionists, there are varying degrees of that. Anyone can really call themselves a nutritionist.
Yes.
And so it's really important if you're looking for a nutritionist to make sure you know what their credentials are. Similarly to, I explained the dietitian, there are certified nutritionists that go through a similar type of schooling and science-based education, but there are others who are just nutritionists who went through a 6-week program. So it's really, you got to investigate who you're going to be working with, I guess is where I'm at. Now, the difference between myself or nutritionist dietitians and a naturopath is trained as a doctor of natural medicine. So they're a doctor in that form, and they have a lot of the same tests and modalities that an MD does. So they're an ND, but an MD has. And they can pull from, many of them pull from many more natural sort of sources rather than pharmaceutical sometimes. Sometimes it's a combination of both.
Right.
But what they don't have is a strong skill set or time allotted to help people really work on their individual diets, meal plans, how to go about that with educating themselves. How do they do that within a family? How do they do that with their work environment to spend the time to go that next level? Because I oftentimes find it's not the what you put on the end of your fork. Like, people know they need to eat more vegetables and eat less boxed food, but they get caught up in, how do I do this in my life?
Yeah. How do I apply it to me?
How do I apply it to me?
Yeah.
And so that's where, we come in as dietitians to help them navigate that into their own life. We have the time, we take the time, especially those, I should say, like myself in private practice, to be able to have the time to allocate to that.
Yeah, and that's definitely been my experience. They're like, here's a few things, and we'll see you on your way. We'll see you in a couple 6 months.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm like, well, okay, all right. So what would you say is like, what was I going to say? So how have you seen, people's like food culture or like food things changed over the years? Has it? It can't be getting better, at least here, right? Or maybe it can. I'm not sure because people are more aware. But are you finding more, problems both, emotionally and maybe digestive as well? Or are you like, since when you started, are you finding more like underlying issues?
Yeah, so I would say there's two answers to that question. The first one is that, I've been doing this for 32 years. And so during the course of that, I've seen a huge movement in the food environment. There's much more awareness about food and eating well and eating closer and local, and especially in the younger generation that's coming up.
Yeah.
They have much more of an awareness around that, and they ask, really great questions too. They're very informed. The flip side of that is that I'm also seeing in the younger generation, and especially post-COVID, or if we can say we're that, but the anxiety and stress levels that are interfering with people's daily lives or interfering with their digestion. So I'm seeing there's a huge uptick in that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, what I have noticed along the way.
And what would you say, I mean, everyone's different, but what would you say is like, is it just stress involved, or is it really the foods they're eating, or a little bit of both? Or
it's definitely a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But there's not a connection. So people aren't understanding that they might be, changing what's on the end of their fork, but they're still having all these issues because there's such angst, maybe in their daily life or just around their eating habits in general. So one of the pillars is mindful eating. Many people multitask while they're eating, or they're doing something stressful or watching the news or having a stressful conversation when they're eating. The digestive system picks up on that, and it's not really receptive to eating, feeling good when that happens. You can get indigestion, you can get offset nutrient absorption. So really understanding, the environment that you are eating in, and not just what you're putting on the end of your fork. It's a combination of both.
Gotcha. So how do you, because I mean, it's hard to, kind of break those cycles for sure, because of the modern world we live in. So how do you help these people as far as, you can't really quit your job, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the kids, I have kids cause stress. You can't get rid of them. And you're like, how do I manage this without doing something that's not good for me? You know what I mean?
So that's where we build a toolbox for stress diffusion. So helping people understand there's always going to be stress in your life, and you can try to reduce it all you want, but curveballs come out.
Yeah.
They come out, and so knowing how to engage your breath, knowing how to use other tools that can help you diffuse this stress so it doesn't interfere with your digestion or your food choices. Because we can have all the best intentions, and then when we get all stressed, we just grab.
Definitely. Yeah. Like my wife was a night nurse for forever, and she's like coming home because she hasn't eaten, and she's like, I want something that's not good.
It just calls to her, right? Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I need to eat something, and I've had 12 hours, and it's like, so I mean, she switched days now, so it's much better. But,
good.
But yeah, she would say that all the time. She'd come home and be like, I shouldn't be eating this.
And that's one of the situations about circadian rhythms too.
Yeah.
A lot of people who work at night or swing have issues with their eating because of the fact that their circadian rhythms are off.
Yeah, definitely. And so what do you do for that? Like, do you help people like with sleep? What are some things that people can do to, help with that?
So when talking about sleep, it's usually helping people in conjunction with, helping them with their, where's their baseline? What's the problem right now? Is it falling asleep or is it staying asleep? And first is talking about sleep hygiene. And there's a lot of resources on there on sleep hygiene, but it's helping people realize that their environment that they're sleeping in might not be conducive for really good sleep. A lot of people, their room is too warm. Optimal sleep temperature is 65 degrees.
Yeah.
So really getting it cooler, making sure all the electronics are out of the way. There's not you're not playing games. There's a big television in your bedroom and you're, trying to play games. So, our phones, there's a lot of habits that we work on for sleep hygiene. And then there's also now technology out there. A lot of my clients are coming to me with, their Apple Watch or their Oura Ring. So there's data on their sleep patterns that we can incorporate in as well, along with looking at hormones. A lot of folks I have a large portion of my clientele are over 50 because of the fact that they now have spent so much time helping the family members and everyone else take care of themselves that they're finally like, whoa, I need to start taking care of myself. One, because I want to be on the planet a little longer,
Right.
And all of a sudden I see, I want to be able to move and be healthy because I want to be around for my grandkids. I want to do that. So they've got their motivations. And so, there's, getting an understanding of where their hormone levels are because they're dropping off and that affects sleep. And then now we have tools like CGM monitors, which is continuous glucose monitoring that helps people understand where their blood sugar levels are because those could be dipping off as well. And so then we can adjust that with how they're eating as well.
So that'll affect the sleep too?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I've been taking I've just been having I've been starting to do a routine during sleep now or before I go to bed. And I've just been taking a little bit of magnesium and it's been like keeping me asleep like the whole way through. And then I switch my pillow too as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of tools. There's a lot of tools you can do.
The pillows are like, I didn't think it was going to be that much of a difference, but that first night I was like, oh wow, that was a big change, which was great. That's an easy fix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at your environment, looking at how you're sleeping, like you said, the magnesium, there's some other supplements, there's some herbs that can, and they work differently for different people.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of tools there to help people get a better night's sleep. And if possible, one of the biggest tools is helping you see how much sleep you actually really need and getting towards that. Backing up and helping yourself go from 5-6 hours to 7-8 hours.
Yeah, I'm always curious,
more.
like, because a lot of my patients, either they sleep very little or not at all. I mean, this is kind of like the population you're dealing with too, and even older. I'm like, how? 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep, and they're like, I've been doing it forever, and I'm like, how? Like my dad always needs a nap in the middle of the day. I'm like, how is that even possible for 2-3 hours of sleep? And they're like, I don't know. they never have an answer for me. I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah, anything under 5 hours there's a lot of science on how that is detrimental to the rest of the body, but there is a range. There is a range for people to be very healthy and vibrant, anywhere from 6 to 10. But the average is around 7 to 9 hours. That's what we really need for really restoring. There's a lot of processes that happen at night that helps our body be ready for the next day. Physically, peristalsis, there's a whole migration motor complex that happens, the clean sweeping in between, how you regenerate, and a lot of things that happen hormone-wise, replenishing for the brain. There's just a lot of things that happen at night that we need enough time to do so.
So you don't need less sleep when you get older, because that's not true, right?
It's not that you need less sleep. There are certain things that happen that you sleep less.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always hear people that are like kind of in that age range. They're like, yeah, I used to sleep X amount, and now I only sleep, less. I sleep less now. Like my mom, she doesn't sleep as much as she did. And I'm like, I wonder why that is. Like, that's interesting, because I always thought, as you age, you would think that you would need more sleep. I would think. And I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would think like you need more sleep because it just takes longer to heal and all that stuff. But people are like, no, I need less sleep. I feel fine.
Yeah, they sleep less, and as you get older, they're usually less active, so there's less repair going on. So, but it still varies widely, person to person.
Gotcha. What else can we go over? So when you deal with these clients, are you do you try and encourage meal prep? Is that kind of a good way to be like, in case like you're too busy, like here's everything already prepared for the week,
That's a really good question. So the class that I've been teaching this month, I've been teaching it several times, is on meal planning. And it's very well received. And the reason is that a lot of people talk about meal prep, but in order to prep, you have to have a plan.
Right? Yeah, I would hope so.
And when a lot of people don't. They just go into the grocery store and they're like, "What do I want to eat? I'm just going to throw together this. I'll figure it out when I get home." And there's just like they pull things together, and oftentimes they throw extra things in their cart and such.
Always
such
kids
and so
throwing.
Yeah, and the kids do that too.
When I'm not
on
looking.
the sly. But in order to, before you get to the prep, there's a couple of steps before that. The first is, having a plan. And before you even have the plan, what do you currently have around the house that you want to incorporate or use that week? And who else is in the house? Whose needs are you also meeting with that meal plan? And so that plan is there. And how are you going to do that throughout this week? Because this week might be different than next week.
Yeah.
And taking into account what days or like some days might be easy in the evening, other days you might be strapped for time.
Yeah, totally.
So really knowing that and not undertaking, wow, I'm going to make this huge shift. I'm going to cook all of my meals from scratch now, and and sort of set yourself up for failure because you have like a super busy week. So really knowing your preferences and your time constraints and what kind of a cook you are. Are you a beginner? Are you someone who even likes to cook? So having that plan, then being able to have it generate a list so you can go shop for just what you need and not extras. Because a lot of people will go out and get all excited and, buy all these veggies and fresh. And then by the end of the week,
it's all wilted.
It's all wilted and dead. And
that's like
and
the best meme ever.
Yeah, I waste so much money, they tell me.
Yeah.
And so, so having that plan, having it all there, and then there's several different ways that meal prep can happen. It can be the whole get your containers and, if it's for lunches and there's a lot of ideas on how to be able to, make them whether they're cold or you're going to heat them at work if you have the availability to do so. But it could be as simple as like when I'm cooking dinner on Sunday, I'm boiling eggs for the week, some hard-boiled eggs, or I'm making a bunch of protein bites so that I can throw them in the freezer and pull them out when I need to, or replenish them, or other family members can. Or when you're making, I'm a big fan of cook once, eat twice, or make, I don't know what, I just said that. Cook once, eat twice, meaning
that makes sense.
If you make a lasagna or a chili or a soup or whatever you're making, make 2 of them. because it doesn't take any more time really, and then you've got one to pull out for later
Right.
when you've got a busy week or what have you. So really learning how to do that. So there's a lot of meal prep is good, absolutely, but it can become in different forms.
Gotcha. And but for your your clients, that's kind of what you encourage, though.
I do.
Or it varies.
It completely varies
Yeah.
because I have a lot of clients who are now working from home, so they're not necessarily putting them all in little containers, but they might be able to have a shelf that has pre-prepped, like the whole salad mix is in there, and then all I have to do is throw on the leftover protein, a handful of pumpkin seeds or walnuts, and dressing, and be done.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like a 3-minute salad. So it's all on what works for them. But then I have others who are shift workers or driving buses or leaving the house, and they need something that they're going to be able to grab in a container
Right.
and eat. And so we work through that as well.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, yeah, we definitely try to eat our leftovers here, but sometimes it's difficult, but there's so much good food here. Everything's grown here. I think we're pretty spoiled. And everything's pretty affordable too. And I'm still finding out with people coming on here. I'm like, oh, we have freshly pressed olive oil, like just up the street, and vinegar, and just like all kinds of stuff. And you're like, wow, this is like really easy. Like I had a sourdough lady on last week, and I'm like, I got my sourdough lady, I got my olive oil, and I got my vinegar.
Vinegar,
like,
it's all you're
I'm
set.
like, I mean, that's all I need. You know what I mean? It's great. So we're definitely spoiled here, and we definitely try to go to farmers market, once a week, Sunday, Saturday.
It's so great that in our county we have farmers markets throughout the county, different days, different times, different access points, and that they also offer the opportunity to for all different income levels to be able to participate. So
yeah, I mean a lot. Yeah, like I said, a lot of them. I mean, I went to Oleo and I was like, these olive oils are going to be expensive, because I mean it's local and they got to do it, and I'm like, no, these are just as much as, if not less than, the grocery store. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and it's grown right here.
Yeah, and you can talk to them. They're super nice people. And like, I just went to their harvest festival, and they're freshly pressed. You can taste the freshly pressed olive oil out of the vat. It's amazing. Yeah. I don't know if you've been there.
I have been to I've been places in the county, but I haven't been there yet.
Yeah. They're super nice. So what would you say is like the most common misconception about eating healthy, really, that people come in with? Like, oh, I need to lose weight. I need to, you know what I mean? Or I just need to, you know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah, I think one of the common misconceptions, if we're just going to put it around weight management or weight loss, is that they can still out-exercise a bad diet. So that's one of the common ones, that they can make choices, but then they're just going to get in the gym and work harder and go often. And so they're not really ready to work on what they're eating. They will come in and we'll talk, and all of a sudden they're like, well, when we set goals at the end of a session, it's all about exercise. It's not necessarily about the changes that we talked about with their food. So because they think that calorie burn is going to help them with their weight loss faster. That's one of the misconceptions. I think another misconception is that there's still a lot of people that calorie count. Instead of looking at the quality of their calories and their shift in macros. Like macros are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. All of our food breaks down into how we make energy, and knowing how to shift those in the right way can help manage your blood sugar for cravings. It can help you with satiety. It can help you with just feeling fuller faster, so that you don't have so that helps you lose weight.
Oh yeah, but that's not the primary goal. The primary goal was to eat healthy, but as a consequence, you're losing weight, right? Versus the opposite mindset, right?
Right. Most people, a lot of people do just come in and they just want to lose weight.
Sure.
But many people they are now wanting this. They need help in all those areas that I talked about.
Yeah.
And so, the misconceptions are, like I said, the exercise piece, just coming in and thinking they can just exercise through it. The other is thinking that there's a misconception thinking that they have to do all or none.
Oh, yeah.
That they have to come in and they're like, I'm ready. I'm going to start. I'm ready. Just give it to me. Give me the chicken and broccoli. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, well, well, let's just talk about what you're eating. I don't want you to feel deprived.
Right.
They feel there's just some sort of switch that's going to turn on, and they're ready for the deprivation. And they're pleasantly surprised that they can eat most everything they want to. They can even enjoy a glass of wine here and there. They can have their desserts, because there's what the worst thing that can happen is that you let that pendulum shift so far to the one direction of deprivation that you just go off the wagon. You just fall off. But if you can learn how to enjoy food and make it in a way that is not so extra time consuming on your life. It's more like I help people with making a meal formula or an eating formula, so they can take that and they can know how to eat well at home. They know how to eat well at a restaurant. They can make choices in holidays, family events, so they can feel that confidence around their eating. So they're not scared of it anymore, that they're going to make the wrong decision. So when they have that confidence, then they can sort of take that out, and that's what helps make it sustainable.
Mm-hmm. But also, I'm sure you're like, if you kind of jump off the bandwagon, it's all good. Just kind of come back on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think when they learn tools and they have that confidence and that it's not a bad thing, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Right.
What gets better and better is there's less time between when they fell off and they get back on. So they would just be like, oh, it happened on Tuesday. I might as well just wait till next Monday. Versus now it's like, well, it happened at dinner. I'm back on breakfast. Like I'm making those healthy choices again on breakfast.
Yeah, those small incremental changes for sure.
Yeah, and because we're looking at food and emotions at the same time, it helps them with understanding what those emotions are telling them. And so it helps them get back on track faster.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So I know when you came in here, you gave me some of your bark. What was the process of making that?
Yeah, so I've been in service for over 30 years, helping people, and I've done a lot of recipes. I have a whole repertoire of my own recipes, and I've had several friends and family saying like, "You should sell this. You should sell this. This is great. People would love this. It's all healthy and it tastes amazing. Like no one would ever know that it's healthy."
Yeah.
So I at some point thought, well, let me give this a shot. Give me it a try. And so I'm a very big fan of dark chocolate, cacao, as it is, because it is a superfood, and trying to help people understand that they can eat foods that are very good for them and nutrient dense. And there are certain ones that, like chocolate, it has a chocolate, bad rep, guilt. There's a guilt around eating chocolate, and I want to remove that for people and help them understand that it can be something that can be enjoyed and even celebrated. And I eat chocolate every day. And so having a line of foods that incorporate that sort of superfoods, but along with sort of being on the treat level or the treat enjoyment level, specialty levels, special sweet treat without refined sugar or anything like that. But so that's how the bark came about. So it's the first in a line of superfoods that I'm bringing up.
And that's coming out pretty soon here, right?
Pretty soon. I've been in the process of the hang up has been on packaging, because I'm trying to make it as earth friendly as possible, and it's been challenging,
I'm sure,
with shelf life as well. So that's been a little bit of a hang up here, but yeah, it'll be rolling out in the next few weeks.
Oh, nice. Soon.
Mm-hmm.
So how long has that been in development for?
It's been in development for about a year, and the reason being it's been taking a little longer than I expected, because I have a lot of projects. I have my one-on-one clients. I have this love project I do, corporate wellness talks. So there's a lot of other there's been just a lot of projects going on simultaneously, and I wanted to make sure that it was sourcing the packaging, I think has been the one that's been taking so long.
Well, I mean, I still think a year is fairly quick. I mean,
the recipe's been there forever. I've had it for a very long time. The recipes, it's just getting it through, starting with your cottage license, and going through the processes and everything. So yeah.
So then, if people wanted to grab that, where would it be other than going through you, or just going through you?
No, I've got several people. I've got probably 10 shops and local shops and owners and wineries that are already ready to have it available. I just have to have it ready for them.
Ready for them? Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's coming out then. I think that's. I mean, I think I have everything on here. But anything else you want to cover that we didn't?
I don't know. Yeah, no, it's been a great opportunity
Yeah.
to sit and chat with you about my passion of food and nutrition. And I guess, just the only other thing is, helping. One of the messages I'm always trying to get out to people is that, health and wellness, what you put on the end of your fork can make a big difference, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming process that's going to interfere or disrupt your life.
Yeah.
Instead, it's something that with gradual change can make a huge impact on your health and your vitality.
But there's also other things that you need to be addressing as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, of course.
Yeah.
So, along with what you put on your end of your fork, you have to pay attention to the other factors that we talked about: your sleep, your movement every day, and your stress levels.
Right. As a whole package there.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to add? I will definitely plug you once this is all done. But you want to say where you're at again and where people can find you, and anything else?
Yeah, sure. So I have a website, vitalandwell.com. I'm out on Instagram, Vital Nutrition and Wellness. I'm always posting out there. I send out a monthly newsletter. So if people want to get in on that, it's always got, recipes, tips and tricks, snippets from when I've been speaking publicly so they can know when upcoming events are and things like that. You can sign up for that on my website as well. And anyone that's interested in working with me one-on-one, I do that both in person here on the Central Coast or across the country virtually.
Yeah, anywhere,
So,
right?
yeah, anybody can work with me, and you can book that discovery call on my website.
Nice. Excellent. And that's Vital Nutrition?
Vitalandwell.com.
Vitalandwell.com. Okay, and I'll definitely plug that and that's the same name for Instagram?
Instagram is Vital Nutrition and Wellness.
Gotcha. Okay, sweet. Anything else you think?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.